Hello, my name is Thomas Beckman. I'm here to discuss homework and why I believe it does not lead to student success. So first, we need to define what homework is, which is the assigned schoolwork intended for completion outside the classroom. This is a more relevant topic as of late, because as we know, COVID and the pandemic has forced many courses online, many work from home situations. So this is a topic I'm going to discuss later down in my presentation. So first, let's get an understanding of what the U.S. Department of Education is and some of the shortcomings that they have. So it's an oversight. It's an agency tied into the federal government that receives taxpayers' dollars. And I break this down into three shortcomings. They do not pay attention to where money goes, low quality data records, and then billions of dollars, poor results, and this has been happening for years. So they do not pay attention to where money goes. From an article from the Federalist, it outlined nearly 75 grants were given out, totaling 21 million in discretionary funding, which a large portion of those documents lack the necessary monitoring devices to understand where this money is going in the school system, understanding that it's going to the proper outlets. So this is troubling to hear, and it's something that needs to be fixed for the future if they could be an effective department. For the second point, low quality data records. So in many cases, when you make these decisions, you have to be data backed. You have to have professionals understanding this problem from a personal side and really pushing change and innovation in this area. But they lack the necessary records, sufficient data to really do so, which really inhibits their decision making. So for the third point, billions of dollars, poor results, and this has been happening for years. In the 70s, the Department of Education received threefold more funding from the government, which has led to a largely flat graph in performance and achievement with students. This is troubling because you would expect as funding comes in, you can allocate more resources to better these students and better the system. But it appears that since the 70s, it has been troubling to see that it really hasn't had much effect. So now that we know what the Department of Education is about and some of the shortcomings of why maybe this issue is the case, I'm going to break into two different reasons why I think it does not lead to student success. So it has too much wear on a student's mental health and can be harmful for students. From a survey from Jiang Fratello, she outlined that a whopping 80% of students consider themselves often or always stressed by homework. This leads to mental health and sleep deprivation, which can be harmful for a developing brain and child, and it really dilutes what these students think of what healthy is and the time to develop socially as a kid. It's really harmful for their overall mental state when they're controlling and prioritizing their time, as well as in homework specific. This leads to a culture of cheating on homework, which is copying homework, parents assisting or doing homework for students, and then also collaborating with other students, using each other's ideas that should be individual. So this really changes not just in a academic sense, but also a social sense. When they have that environment, it might teach them different behaviors that would be not great for the rest of their lives. So it can be really impactful as a student when you're learning in this space. For my second reason, I outlined that homework is hardest on low-income students, furthering the digital divide. So from a quote from NCCP, which was conducted by Heather Koball and Jiang, among children under the age 18 in the United States, 41% are low-income children, and 19%, approximately 1 in 5, are poor. So understanding your students, where they're from, their space, their social economic state, they could perhaps, the education system can perhaps attack this further. But as I'm about to go into now, with COVID and courses moving online, this even furthers the marginalization of this group. So from a study from Hispanic Heritage Foundation and Family Online Safety Institute, as well as my college options, they conducted this study that outlined 50% of students say that they have been unable to complete a homework assignment because they did not have access to a computer or the internet. Furthering in that population, 42% said that they received a lower grade on an assignment due to lack of access to the internet or a computer. This is a troubling statistic that needs to be talked about. It needs to be fixed. In the digital divide, this is only furthering the divide of different social economic status among students. And this is troubling that we want the overall success of all students to be prioritized. It needs to be an issue that really comes to the forefront in this case. So going into my closing, I wanted to answer the question: homework does not lead to student success. I gave you 2 reasons why. Too much homework can wear down on a student's overall health and lead to unnecessary or lazy work. This incentivizes cheating, and it's a growing issue now in the United States. For the second reason, homework in the digital divide wears heaviest on the low-income students. 1 in 5 students are considered poor in the United States, and nearly half of them do not have access to homework, such as the internet and the computer. 42% said that they received a lower grade due to the inability to access the internet. This is a very troubling statistic that needs to be approached for the future if we want the success of all students in the United States. Thank you, and I appreciate you listening and your time. Bye-bye.